We're live.
And we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to Behind the Tool Belt, episode 218. Today, we have another special guest. Stay tuned. We will be back after our short intro from our sponsors.
TC Backer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. TC Backer.
Is your lead flow down? Whether you're a company owner, office staff, salesperson, or installer, you're a roofing rock star. We help you get more leads with custom SEO, Google Ads, and a pro website.
TC Backer.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 218 of Behind the Tool Belt. It is a Wednesday afternoon. We appreciate everybody tuning in on their lunch break. It seems like the 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time has been a success so far. Vic and I get our Wednesdays back with our families. We've had our Wednesdays held hostage for so long, and our at least Wednesday evenings anyhow. But we're back. We're back, and looking forward to this awesome episode with a good friend of mine, David Summerly. And we thought we would try something different and get Vic's pretty face, who's normally behind the camera. We thought we'd put him in front of the camera today. Hey, I like that. Happy birthday.
I wasn't know. I don't even know what that was about.
I don't know. I think maybe somebody told me that. I think Victoria was telling me if you wave your hand in front of the camera or something. I don't know. Anyhow, but we're here and we're back, and Vic's throwing a party with balloons on his end of things. But I love it. I am actually down in the great state of South Carolina over in Hilton Head Island. We're currently making some moves over here in this area, and I'll come back. Hang tight.
Yeah.
I think it happens every now and then. But as long as you can hear me, that's all that really matters. And those of you listening on Spotify or on Google or Apple, I guess it really doesn't matter because all you can hear is my voice. But anyhow, we're making some moves over here in the Hilton Head area over here. So Jan and I have been down for the week. Last week we were in the Greenville area over there with Ken Yant. And this week we're with Mike Torreo and his team over here on the island this week. So anyhow, got a great guest, David Summerly, my friend. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Fantastic. The sun's out. It's about 61 degrees. And I think back home, it's probably around 40 degrees. So I'm sure there's those at home are probably pretty envious of me right this second.
Yeah.
Only a little bit warmer down here in Florida. Not as warm as we normally like it to be, but I think we're 69 today.
Oh, really? Where at in Florida are you? Orlando?
I was for like a year, but I'm in Tampa now, just south of Tampa, a little town called Ruskin.
Okay, so you're pretty south, and it's only 69 degrees down there.
Yeah. Some days it's in the 80s, and in the middle of winter, I can't complain. But today
Right.
it's 69, not too bad.
Yeah, I heard that. So, Vic, what is the temperature up there in the great state of Pennsylvania?
It is, let's see here. I can't tell. I think it's in the 40s.
Oof.
40s.
It's above
Maybe.
freezing.
Yeah, it's above freezing for sure.
As long as you're above ground, we're good.
Yeah.
That's right. Above ground, vertical and
Welcome back.
second air. Yeah, I did change one of the settings on the camera there. It might do that for whatever reason. I think these Canon cameras sometimes, I don't know, like, I don't know why it does that. We haven't figured that out yet, but it only happens when I'm on the road like this and I use the Canons. One of these days I'll break out the new Sony camera that we got there.
Need headphones so I can fit in with you guys.
Yeah, do it. Next time, maybe I'll shave my head.
There we go. Let's go.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ready for that yet. No, I don't. Not yet.
Give it time.
I'm down. It all grows back. What the hell?
I wore red for you guys today. A little TC Backer red, brought to you by Lead Scout.
Awesome. There you go. I like that. You're hired.
Yeah.
I just like to play t-shirts, but it's a great program they've got going on over there.
Yeah, for sure. I talked to Chris last night for a while. Chris Hofstra with Lead Scout. We're launching some campaigns pretty much in all of our markets right now. So he's got a great plan. He's very experienced when it comes to canvassing and direct mail and those things like that. So check him out over there at leadscout.com. Anyone that's interested in canvassing or doing direct mail, check him out. Good plug there, David. So thank you. But anyhow, David, what are you doing nowadays? I see you're working for Square Dash. Why don't you explain to us what exactly is Square Dash and what it can do for us contractors?
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So it's no secret that over the years, I've had a couple times where I felt like I didn't get paid, and that's nothing new to the industry. And it's not just in roofing. Any door-to-door industry, alarm sales was the only other time in my life I ever didn't get paid. And so any door-to-door job, there's a chance of that. And especially though in the trades, there's problems with that. And for a long time, I thought these people are just ripping me off. What the heck, And eventually I came to realize it's not always that way, because how do I go in and these guys seem like really wonderful guys and then I don't get paid in the end? Sponsored by Red Bull yet, or are we doing Rain?
Red Bull, not yet. We're working on it.
So I ended up figuring out these are good guys. What happens is they have a cash flow issue. And when you have a cash flow issue, your job as the leader of a company is to keep the company afloat, and salespeople can come and go. Salespeople might be really great, but at some point in their mind, salespeople are a dime a dozen, and I can get me another salesperson. I got to keep the company going. And so when they get into these crunches, they have a problem. And fortunately, I came across Square Dash. I was looking for work. I was out of work for 3 months. It was pretty unfortunate, but Square Dash is really fascinating to me because it solves one of the biggest problems in the industry, and it's a cash flow issue. And all these contractors are putting out all these money, going and being hurricane heroes and all these things, and spending all this money, paying crews out of their pocket instead of out of the check because they're waiting to get paid, all these kind of things. They're going out and spending tons of money, putting tons of cash out there, and then they're in a situation where they could go bankrupt. And that's what ended up. My boss was in a situation where he'd go bankrupt as a roofer, and he said, this is a problem, and it's not just me. I'm doing everything right, and here I am, and I need to fix this. And so he created Square Dash. And so what it is a managed billing service where we go in and basically get you your money a lot faster by having a whole team of people for a fraction of what it costs to hire in-house. You have a whole team of people that specialize in just collecting this money, calling, bugging the insurance company, calling, bugging the mortgage company, doing it in a way that moves things a lot faster, having the homeowner, instead of the salesman running around wasting time picking up checks, that costs the company money. If the salesperson is driving a half hour, an hour to go sit down with somebody and ask them for a check instead of a referral, and then they're going to this gas station, they're going to talk to the gal at the front desk, talk to their buddy, maybe go to lunch after. Next thing you know, you've lost a half a day to a day for a salesman to pick up a check instead of a referral. That's a problem. It costs companies hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in revenue, and they don't even realize it. And so what we do is we have people that go in and do all these services for you for a fraction of what it would cost you to hire in-house. And then if they want, they can click a button to get paid almost instantly instead of waiting the weeks to months that it takes to wait for the insurance company, the mailman, the mortgage company, and so forth.
Wow. Wow. Now, how does that affect, like, because I know a lot of times with insurance work, the scope of work that the insurance company gives you doesn't always quite match, what exactly needs to happen on the job or price while incurred, right? Like things happen.
Right.
You get the shingles off, and I'm speaking of roofing, right? You get the shingles off, and the sheeting is damaged. So how does that affect that area? Like if you got to do a supplement or PWI?
Yeah. So we work with supplementers. We've got like SFY, for example, and balance claims. We're working with both of them right now and their contractors to make sure that we're making it the best possible experience for the contractor and being able to partner with them instead of work against them, if that makes sense. So what we end up doing is there's parts where they take over, we take over. We basically manage that back and forth so that it's less stress on the contractor. We're trying to make their job easier, not harder. And so there's parts of it where they've sent out that supplement, and now we go say, hey, where's that supplement, Mr. Insurance Adjuster? And we're bugging them. That's another set of people bugging them, and they get moving a lot faster. And so whether they're working in-house on the supplements or outsourcing it, we work with both. But we're not going to go and negotiate those portions. We're just going to go say, hey, where's the money and what do you need so we can get this moving?
Yeah. Yeah. So what is is Square Dash like an app? Is it a monthly fee? Is it you guys get paid like a percentage of that particular claim, or how does that work?
So I haven't sold them on this motto yet, but I think of it like everybody says sell, build, collect. And I say sell, build, Square Dash. We are trying to become that portion of the industry. Sell, build, Square Dash. And so basically you pay a monthly fee for your billing services based on your success last year. We lock in that pricing for you for a year so you can scale as far and wide as you want. And that's our problem, not yours. We're going to go with you. We're going to go that extra mile, no matter how big you scale. And so you're locked in at your pricing for a year. And then at that point, we'll review it and see what makes sense. But then if you want to have money instantly, instead of waiting the weeks or months, I'm sure, I mean, you've done a lot of claims, I'm certain. So, the claims process can take weeks to months to sometimes years. And contractors that want to get paid right now on approved scope, any undisputed funds, they click a button in there, whether that's the front end check, the back end check, or multiple checks. They just click a button and say, I want to get paid right now. And there is a small cost to that. It's 5%. But when you consider that it's going to cost you a lot more than that, if you're 90, 180 days out, the cost of having that money, that capital sitting out there, having to pay your crew out of your pocket instead of out of the check, having that salesman run off thinking you're not going to pay him, having the supplier charging you more because you're out so far. Whereas if you did it within 10 days, ABC's gives you a discount. Like it just makes sense.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point, man. There's actually a lot of great points here and different topics and stuff that we can talk about here. And I think a lot of people, and especially homeowners or insurance companies or mortgage companies, don't think about like the interest that's incurred, from ABC, right? Sometimes you can have a 30, 60, even I've even heard, companies, maybe not ABC, but I'm just going to sum it up as distribution may give you a 90-day term, right? Could be 60 days, but then interest kicks in on the last 30, pushing it out to 90 days. And that interest can, man, that can range from 1% up to 6% interest there. So there alone, I think would be a huge benefit if you guys are only charging 5%. And let's just say you got 5 or 6 of these claims out there that they're messing around with, and you got 5 or 6 jobs with ABC that, you know, you're waiting on your money to pay your salespeople, to pay your sub crews, to, you know, pay your distribution, and for just a small nominal fee of 5%, at least you know what that is. That's very consistent. You can almost build that into your overhead cost.
Exactly.
Right up front, which, you know, if you're a savvy business person, you would think that right away. And what I think is cool about this too, it sounds like you don't have to use it for every job. So let's just say, you know, you got a big claim, right? You came across this hotel or something big like that. And I would imagine, and I should have probably asked you this question, does it matter how big the claim is? Is it like you only deal with like $5,000 to $10,000 claims, or can it be $1 million?
Oh no.
Claim
So right now, under our current structure, and that may change in the near future, but under our current structure, they basically give you what best or most easily can be explained as a credit limit based on your revenue that you're doing. So if you're just getting started in this industry and you're doing $300,000 a month, and all of a sudden you take on $4 million overnight, we're going to have to review that and see what we can do about that. But if you're doing 3 or 4 million every month on you know, all the time, and then you have a big, huge claim that comes through, no problem. It's within your credit limit. Maybe your credit limit with us is 150,000 at a time. And as we collect all your stuff constantly, it's adding back into your credit limit. And so it depends on how much volume you're doing. If you take on a massive claim, all of a sudden that's outside of your normal revenue, you may run into a hiccup there. But in the future, when we have our next round of things, that may change, and all of it's constantly improving. So it'll just get better and better for the contractors over time.
Yeah. Now, have you guys partnered with any or made relationships with any insurance companies?
So we've had some conversations with some of them for sure. And long term, we're looking at every direction, you know, almost like a futurist, every direction the industry could possibly go. You know, it's all trying to figure out what's going to happen in the future, and you never know for sure, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, nobody has a crystal ball, as much as I wish I thought I did, or sometimes I even think I do. But no, that's definitely.
We'd like to eventually work with them, the distributors at every level, every potential partnership level, the PAs, the attorneys, every level. We'd like to get, you know, there's only 100% of money, right? And so if you have more than 100% of that check owed out to people, then you have a problem in the first place, and we'll probably should figure that out. But there's only 100% of the money. And so long-term, very long-term thinking here, why couldn't you set it up so that you could issue the money out to each individual claimant as to where they're supposed to have their money?
Oh, wow. Yeah, let's talk about that a little more. Explain a little more to our viewers about that idea that you just came up with.
So right now we're doing a little bit of research. Part of my job as a partner accounts executive is to have a lot of these conversations about what we can do in the future. And then also obviously referral partnerships, right? But those future conversations are figuring out like, hey, can we figure out a way that check is owed out to all these different people, and we know what the percentages are, and we go ahead and make sure the distributor gets paid faster by issuing that money direct to the distributor, potentially direct to the PA, the attorney, whoever it is. I float the idea of even the salespeople coming from the pain point of a salesperson of not knowing when you're going to get paid or if you're going to get paid at all, of eventually having it even so that the salesperson has guaranteed pay. Like, how much better would a contractor do on hiring and recruiting top talent if the top talent knew for a fact they're going to get paid and they're going to get paid quickly?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a great aspect, especially in the storm restoration. You know, it's such a hard job to juggle all of that, you know, and I think a lot of people think, you know, knocking doors is an easy thing. And I know you got experience with that, David. You know, basically from soup to nuts when it comes to the roofing industry. I know you well enough to know that once you were a laborer, you were a door knocker, you were a sales manager and all that thing. So you've seen it from both sides and know that it's not easy. And like you said earlier, you touched on, so it's not that the contractors are bad people. It's just that, it's really difficult to manage your money when you don't know when it's going to come, when especially if you don't have, multiple irons in the fire, whether it be a retail model, whether it be new construction, whatever, investors, real estate agencies. And I'm just mentioning a few things that I know that has created MRR for us. And it's so difficult to create a monthly reoccurring revenue in the roofing industry unless you're in the commercial space and you set up like maintenance contracts and things like that. And, and this is the other side of the coin too. It's like, it's not always the contractor's fault. And it seems like you always hear about the bad things, right? About contractors, especially on Facebook, like I got ripped off by this guy, but nobody ever talks about, I guess there's not enough owners pushing back and saying, well, you didn't follow the process. You lost the company all this money and no shit, you didn't get paid because you're supposed to hit a certain percentage in order for you to get paid. But not enough people actually talk about that. Everybody talks about how salespeople got ripped off, but if they don't follow the steps and the procedures, no one's going to get paid. You know what I mean? Especially the person that went out and sold a job or knocked on the door. If they didn't follow, whether they didn't know product knowledge or they didn't know what they were looking at or whatever the case might be. Because I know a couple companies, especially local, the PA, there was this huge company that just blew up overnight, and their salespeople were just out selling jobs for whatever, just to sell a job, knowing that they were going to get 10%. It didn't matter what the job sold for. They were just going out to make 10%, but nobody talks about, why that company went out of business. Unfortunately, you point one finger, you got 3 pointing back. It was because now that I play this through my head a little more, it's due to poor leadership. Like if you would let that happen to your business, but either case, it's difficult. I guess the point I was trying to make, it's so hard to juggle, especially finances. Somebody early in business that worked for somebody that was a salesperson that knocked doors, thought that they could go out and do something like this and didn't realize that this is a cash flow business, right? You have to keep the cash flowing in. And multiple years ago or however long before Square Dash, we didn't have Square Dash. We didn't have, things like this. So it's a great, it seems that it in theory, it seems like a great idea. And I guess how close would, I guess, Inc. be your competition in this space? Or is it a little bit different?
I get a ton of calls or messages from Inc. customers.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a couple from Claim Pay customers wanting to come over because we're, I guess, half the price as far as the funding portion. And then we do obviously all of the billing service that they realize that it's actually saving them money. Paying us for that service actually ends up saving them money because, like I said, a whole team of people for a fraction of what it costs to have somebody in-house. So as they continue to scale, if you've already got everybody in place, maybe you don't see that reward right away in that sense. But as you scale, you're going to need to bring on additional admins. And for usually the cost of less, a fraction of one person, you can bring on an entire team from us. Depends on the size of the company. Obviously, if you're doing 60 million a year versus 1 million a year, the number of admins that you would have to bring on in-house is different, right? So the cost is different. But yeah, there's a variety of topics there. By the way, I used to be a Mormon missionary at some point too. So definitely a lot of door knocking experience, but yeah, no, there's been other services and some of them have come and gone. There was a company called Genesis that I think was charging 10%, and that to the contractors that I knew that were using it, they loved it. And then a lot of them were like, that's too high of a percent. I can't use it. Mm-hmm. And then they had some other kind of legal trouble or something. So they went caboose. But yeah, we've had a ton of people that have been calling us that have been Inc. customers. So we love everybody over there at Inc. Everybody's over there's been awesome to us. I think they focus mostly on mortgage processing or something. I'm not fully equipped on what all they do, but yeah, that's I probably get asked about Inc. more than any other. as a potential
I bet
competitor.
because both are very unique to their niches. You know what I mean? And that's why I asked you that question, because like you said, that a lot of great people over there in Grind Holiday and their team over there are just a group of outstanding individuals like yourself, David. And I was just trying to sit here thinking about the differences there. But like you said, they have their own niche over there and provide a wonderful, great service to us contractors that might need something like that. And then you guys here, unfortunately, I haven't heard of it until you came along. But again, no matter where you go, David, it seems like success follows you. You know what I mean? And it really goes into the type of individual that you are, and how you represent yourself and the company that you work for. Which, you know, and we all know, and this could be a topic in itself, that most people buy from people, right? It's not necessarily the product or the company that they're buying from. It's the individual that they're there. And because of the type of person that you are, the genuine person that you are, you know, sincerely caring for that individual that you're selling your product to, you know, you really care. That's the one thing that gravitated me to you the most. And one instance that stands out, I don't know, I think it was about a year ago. I'm going to get off topic here a little bit and talk about you as an individual, because behind the tool belt is kind of where it originated from, like the person behind the tool belt, right? Like, who is the individual? Where did David Summer come from? Or, you know, the woes of, not necessarily woes, but you know, there was an instance where there was somebody, and I can't even remember what it was, but I guess some guy was talking schmack because I didn't let him on the podcast or something like that. And the guy, I didn't even know who he was. And then later, I think I found out that he was in my inbox, but because we weren't friends, it doesn't show up where it would normally, where your friends are, or something like that. But you were the first one to jump right in there. Like, you actually tagged me in your comment back to this dude. Like, Ty is like the greatest person that I know. And then everybody else chimed in. I mean, it was like so powerful to see the support of people, not just for me, but behind the tool belt, the support everybody had. I didn't even have to say anything to this guy, because you guys just drilled this guy. I think eventually he took his post or comment or whatever the hell it was. I think it was about a year ago. But it was cool, man. And thank you for that, because that's true friendship. And I know that we didn't grow up together or anything like that, but when we do see each other at an event, we usually pick right up where we left off. You know, and you've always been, you know, the same consistent person every time I see you, whether you're posting something, it's usually, you know, trying to help somebody out. You know, I've seen so many things like I think you took your shoes off and gave it to a homeless guy one time, like just the same stuff, cut from the same kind of cloth kind of guy that I am the sum of, right? They say that you are the sum of those that you surround yourself with. And you're definitely one of those guys that, you know, I feel like I want and have in my circle today, that I know that I could rely on. And again, I know we haven't been BFFs, but I got a sneaky suspicion if I called you at 2:00 in the morning and needed a lift from the airport, or I had a flat tire or something, that you would probably be the first dude there to answer your phone. And not only that, but come help me, you know, give me a ride.
My ringer stays on.
Yeah, no doubt.
My ringer stays on. Don't abuse it. I've had a few guys over the years that would just call and not stop talking for 3 hours. Like, that's crazy. But no, my ringer stays on, because not only have people been there to help me when I needed it, but on the same note, I've had too many people who didn't call and they're not with us anymore. And so my ringer stays on 24/7, because if you need to call me, you freaking call me. Period.
No doubt. Man.
And thank you. That's an honor. I'm honored to hang with you, talk with you anytime, whether it be on here or just in person. Anytime you guys need anything, you can always let me know.
No doubt. I know that. But I wanted everybody else to know that too, that you're a great dude, man. And I always enjoy our time together and stuff. But let's rewind this. Let's find out how or, you know, or how did the roofing industry find you, or how did you find the roofing industry? Let's go.
It's interesting when you said something a few minutes ago, it made me think of that. When I worked in industrial distribution sales in a call center, And we sold basically everything it takes to make food except for the food ingredients. So, for example, the burritos from Ruiz Foods, they make these really good burritos, and like they're my favorite. Well, they had a super clean environment. They worried about everything being clean all the time, so I only eat those burritos. But I did that for 6 years, and I was always number one or number two every month. I had this really great boss that I absolutely loved, and he got promoted and was like, David, I'm taking him with me. And I was like, yeah, that's right. Let's go. And the new boss coming in had the option of not letting that happen. And he came in and basically said, no, I need his numbers. He's not going anywhere. He can stay right in his seat. And that guy was the biggest jerk. He ended up getting fired in a really horrible way years later. And he's probably had to go through court for what happened. But it all karma, right? It all comes back around. But anyway, this guy was not good to me. Told me at one point that he was going to fire me. My daughter was going to starve to death. Like, just a jerk. And so I was like, all of a sudden miserable. And fortunately, and didn't feel like it at the time, but fortunately he fired me. It was devastating. I quietly took my belongings and walked out, all week and tail between my legs, walked out to my truck, and I got in my truck, started driving home, and I let out this blood-curdling scream. And it was a scream of, oh my God, I just lost my job. What am I going to do? But it was also a scream of freedom. Like, that guy was such a jerk, and I was so miserable, and I kept smiling all the time, trying to be happy, and I was not. And so I was free. I was finally free. And I went home, and I laid down on my bed, and I said, okay, what am I going to do? I have a network of people around me that love me. Let me let them know, because if they don't know, they can't help me. And so I just put a post on Facebook. I've been at the same job for 6 years. I'm out of a job. I need help. And I put it on Facebook, something along those lines. And within 15 minutes, I had a job. And light bulb, like, oh, your network can really help. And so I've realized from that point, and I've tried to nourish that, because I realized the value in that from that point, right? So went over and worked at a marketing company, did phenomenal training, Dex Media. Then they were bought out Yellow Pages, and now they're Thrive. Great company in a sense. Other things about it, maybe not so much. They've changed over time. But at the time, I focused on roofers, because I realized that they were big ticket. They would get a big check, and then they could afford my service more than somebody whose service was $15, And so I just focused on targeting roofers, and specifically roofers in New Jersey. Do you know why? Can you guess?
No.
What do you know about people up there in the Northeast? You're from there, from up the Northeast, right? What do you know?
Oh man, that is a hard question to ask. I mean, there's a lot of assholes up here.
They're very direct, right?
Yeah.
They're very direct.
Yeah.
And because
Yes.
they're very direct, they appreciated a direct approach. I've never been the guy that goes out and gives, pardon my French, a bullshit like statement about the company and what we're doing to try and get around somebody. I just am very direct. Like, this is what we're doing. This is how much it costs. Would this be of service to you? I'm very direct, not a great salesperson, just very direct and genuine and honest. And so people up in New Jersey would call me, and instead of me going the way around their brain and pretending I was calling for a different reason, I would just be like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how much it costs. I would love to do this for you. And this is why you can trust me to take care of you. And they would just appreciate that. If I tried to do the company pitch, they would just go, hey man, if you're not going to tell me what the hell you're calling me for, get off my phone. It was very direct. And so they appreciated me being very direct. So I focused at first on just New Jersey. And then as I realized that the big ticket on the roofers, I expanded out the whole country with roofers. And one of those roofers, in a long series of events, I got to them in Kansas City. They were partnered with a company that was doing new construction, and then they were build only, and they were doing for a bunch of the big name companies. And I sold their partner our top package. And so I was really excited, great job, David. And then a few weeks later, the owner of the build only portion calls me, and he says, hey man, love what you did for my business partner. We've parted ways. I'm trying to do something different. and grow a sales team and basically become a sales organization, not just a build organization. And so I need you to swing by my office and see how you can help me. It's like, awesome. I'm going to sell them the top package again. Let's go. This is exciting. So I go by there, and it was a job interview. And basically he tells me that, all about his roofing and storm restoration and all the opportunity. And I was like, hey man, I think that sounds great. I've got a friend I can refer to you. I don't know anything about roofing or storm restoration. I'm not the guy for you. And he says, ooh, you don't understand. Every time I've called, you've answered the phone. Every time I need something, you actually give a damn. That's the kind of person I want in front of my customers. You have the right character for what I'm looking for. The roofing stuff I can teach you in 5 minutes. And sure enough, I got about 5 minutes of training on a roof. He said, I think this kind of looks like hail, as he points at some not splatter, and hands me a stack of contracts, and that was it. And so I learned most in the beginning from most of what I learned from insurance adjusters, and then went to SVG for Win the Storm for their trainings. And then over time, just getting to know all these industry experts, they're a lot smarter than me. I learned from all those different guys, and it's helped me grow into where I'm at today.
Wow. No, that's amazing. Because I knew you had a pretty good history in the roofing industry, and I knew it had a lot to do with the door knocking portion of that. It's so funny, how so many salespeople and get introduced to the industry the same exact way that you described it. It's like 3 weeks later you're supposed to be out knocking doors, signing contracts with very little experience, whether it be product knowledge, how to overcome objections, any of those things. And I believe still today, a lot of companies still try to train their people up in like a 3-week period of time. And I mean, that's great if they're coming from the roofing space and they just really need to know, learn your culture, learn your systems, learn your processes and things like that. But when it comes to, product knowledge and things like that, especially if you didn't come from our industry, it takes a lot longer to educate someone so they can turn around and educate the homeowner, whether it be the insurance process and helping them along through that process of the the insurance part of it. But not only that, but educating them on like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to tear your roof off. It's going to look like a bomb went off. You may end up finding some nails in your yard after we're done. We're going to try to do our damnedest to pick everything up. But then after we're done that process, we're going to inspect the surface, make sure the decking's in great shape. And then we're going to put down underlayment. We're going to do drip edge. We're going to put ice and water in the valleys and then the eaves, along the eaves, and install shingles. And it comes with this kind of warranty. Well, that you can't learn that in 15 days. You know what I mean? So, it's funny to hear how you were trained was very similar to the way that I was trained. And then what happens is it takes another 6, 9, 12 months to clean up the mess from that salesperson that came into the organization that was supposed to learn all this stuff in 15 days.
You got it.
And the reason why I bring this up is because I think, yes, we can figure out the type of individual in 15 days, like if they're going to be a good fit in our organization. But I think it's unfair to think or say that, they're going to learn everything and they should be out, whether it's retail or knocking doors or whatever the case might be. However, if you're selling deductibles or if you're actually selling jobs to homeowners, it doesn't really matter. It takes a lot longer. It takes experience. It takes time. It takes shadowing people and having people shadow you and being very patient, tolerant, loving, caring, right? To get a person up to speed. And it takes 30, sometimes 60, 90 days, and then if you do other facets of the industry, whether it be siding, windows, gutters, there's a whole nother, animal inside those facets of the company outside of roofing. So it's funny because we're trying to create right now a university. We're calling it TC Backer University, or America's Roofing Company University. And, it's a 30, 60, 90-day incubator that somebody comes in and, it's pretty pretty thorough, like their first week, hour by hour, they'll know exactly what it is that they're going to do. And then the second week, they're going to know exactly what they do down to the lunch break for 30 minutes. Go drink a Red Bull, go out in the parking lot, do 10 jumping jacks and get your ass back in there, right? Like get that blood flow because we just threw a lot at you. So go take a break, come in, and then get with your your tribe leader, and he's going to review some more stuff with you. But what happens is when you do that, it's called success by proximity. Just come on in here, hang out with us for 30 days, attend all sales training, attend all sales meeting, go out, canvas 300 homes in a week. That should produce, 3 phone calls per 100 flyer, should bring in 1 phone call. So by the end of 30 days, they should have built, a pretty good pipeline. By the end of 60 days, they should have a really good pipeline. And you've taught them how to go fishing, and not necessarily feeding them fish, but you taught them how to fish so they can eat for a lifetime.
I love that. I would be curious about some of your techniques for recruiting over time. It reminded me, what you were saying reminded me of, there's a huge restoration company in the industry that has been well known for a while. Glad you get your camera working again there.
Yeah.
What I understand that they do, and this is my crude understanding from having heard from people that were big national people there a long time ago, but basically they would go and they'd hire 10 guys to go out and canvas, and they'd bring them in and let them sit near all the salespeople during the sales meeting so they could hear the excitement and how much money they're making, but not actually introduce that as this is your opportunity to them. You're just here to be a canvasser. You're going to make $10 an hour to go out and drop these flyers. If you happen to by mistake talk to a homeowner and turn in a lead, you get an extra $100 if that, turns into something or whatever. And so what happens is, out of these 10, they all go out and do their job. 8 of them do exactly what they were there to do or less. 2 of them see the opportunity and they're ambitious, and they'll go out and make sure they get in front of some homeowners on accident, and they end up making way more money than the other ones that day. And next thing you know, they're being invited into the sales meeting to be brought in as a salesperson. So that was one technique I've heard of that's really good for sorting out salespeople. And I think there's a value to that, and there's a balance, like character, educator, somebody who's actually going to educate, and then also someone though that has the ambition or the drive to learn how to be better in sales, and not a slick car salesman type is not what I mean, but there's human communication you can learn and become better at, right?
Absolutely. Unless you do it and try it, and if it's okay, and our process is very similar to what you just explained. And if they want to continue to be professional canvassers, that's fine too, because we need people out there planting seeds and creating touch points and strengthening that brand awareness. And that's what's important, especially if you're trying to target a certain age demographic. You know what I mean? Like a 22 to 30-year-old that didn't go to college, that's been bussing tables. And if you pay them $15 an hour, to go out and hand out, 300 to 500 flyers a week, if that's 40 hours a week, that's 32,000, $31,200 a year, right? If you're just putting in, 40 hours a week. But then if you're doing like a Saturday, like SVG used to talk about, is a weekend, sales blitz, right? So then you get the entire team out there on a Saturday, right? And go and hand out 5,000, 10, 15, 20,000 flyers, and the influx of calls that will come in, because it takes everybody to make sure everybody's eating, and down to the $15 an hour canvasser that's out there that can graduate into the 6-figure pathway to success. And that's kind of what we're calling it. It's the 6-figure pathway to success, where it's like you start out as a canvasser, and that's how we want you to figure out how to create your own leads. From going out canvassing, creating referrals and things like that. And then meanwhile, the phone's ringing, and then we can also spoon feed some leads too, for those that have been around for a while, or if they're your neighborhoods, because if you put a QR code, a lot of times we do Post-it notes that we've actually gotten through Lead Scout, and there's a QR code on there, that way we can do a match back and know that this was your Post-it note that
Nice.
came from David's neighborhood that he canvassed, or the Target parking lot he decided to go out and start sticking post-it notes on people's car windows, or whatever, the case might be.
Guerrilla marketing.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's the more you do, it's a numbers game, right? And so many people, I think, just want to sit around and wait for the phone to ring, especially over the winter months. But over the winter months, that's when you need to start planting seeds, especially in a retail market, right? I hear a lot of roofing contractors talk about, oh, it's a slow season. It shouldn't be. You should be actually working overtime over the winter months and the colder months. You should be handing out more flyers. You should be doing more door hangers. You should be doing the sales blitz over the weekends and stuff like that, because you need to plant those seeds. That way, come March, April, May, even the end of February down here in South Carolina, it's like it's spring up in Pennsylvania right now. If somebody 3-4 months ago was out canvassing the crap out of the local area, right now the phone would be ringing off the hook.
Absolutely. I think that if you want to make it a sellable business, you need to have a more consistent income year round. You can't have a seasonal only business.
Mm-mm.
And going out and doing that work it's been a huge key to success for me. I'm not the best door knocker on the planet. I'm a better closer than I am an opener, to be honest with you, even though I've got many years of experience in door knocking over most people.
Mhm.
I'm not that great at it. I just talk to more people. I've known some guys that could run circles around me as far as engaging the conversation that needs to happen to get on that roof, right?
Mhm.
But those guys didn't do it in nearly as much work as I did.
Mhm.
So one of the things that was a secret to success for me at that first roofing company I worked for, while everyone else was sitting around in the office waiting on leads to come in, I was out knocking on doors and just being genuine and true. And this is what we're doing, and this is how I can help. And they were making fun of me in the text messages, thinking I was at home sleeping instead of being in the office. How lazy of me. And then that night I came in with a giant stack of contracts and slapped them on the boss's desk and sat down politely, and they all shut up. And at that point, the respect level changed a little bit. So
No doubt.
they were a little bit nicer to me after that and came to ask a few questions. But, you got to go out and do the work when you have to go out and do the work.
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day, is you got to put in the work, especially when people aren't watching. You know what I mean? And that goes, you gotta outperform. You got to be the hardest working person in the room, and it's really easy to do. And if you can talk to people, and like you said, if we accidentally run into a homeowner out there, and that's where like the company history comes into play. You don't need to know product knowledge right away. Just to be out there like, hey, we're a roofing company. We're local to the area. We've been in business for 17 years. We help homeowners all throughout your neighborhood, and didn't know if maybe you'd want me to set an appointment to have someone come out and inspect your roof. And really that's all it takes.
Yeah,
Open that
there's
door.
customers of every kind and stripe, but I find the vast majority of people will forgive you for not knowing something, but they know whether you're telling them the truth or not, no matter how slick you think you're being. And so I hear these guys will go out and they're just good with confidence or words or whatever, and they can get a few that way, but most homeowners understand whether you're being truthful or not. And one thing I learned working the Hurricane Laura in Louisiana and Ida later, Hurricane Laura, though, there was a ton of contractors came over from Texas into that area, and they have certain ways of saying things. So like Iowa is pronounced to them as Iowa. And so if you're from Texas and you don't know that and you pronounce it Iowa, they know you're lying when you say you're not from Texas and that you're a local, And so what they would do is they would set you up. They would ask you questions to get you to lie to them, because a lot of the Texas roofers, no offense to the Texas roofers, 7 out of my top 10 cities on Facebook that follow me are from Texas. So I love you guys. But
Yeah.
A lot of the Texas roofers that came over would just lie. They were trying to be slick salesmen. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've been here for years. We got an office, blah, blah. They were lying. And the local people knew it. And they wouldn't even tell them they knew it. They wouldn't call them out. They just, okay, thank you. I'll get back with you. And then they'd turn to the other person next to them. He's lying, And they knew that they were lying. And so having good character and going out and telling the truth, and like you said, just knowing the company story, just knowing enough that you can get those conversations going. and then, hey, I don't know the answer to that question. I will get back to you with it, and then following up and actually doing so. It makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and that's what's going to keep you in business for the longest too, is just being as genuine and as authentic and as transparent as possible. And that's kind of what, has grown our company, is that, we don't want to be necessarily considered a storm chaser. We want to be where the storms are. We just want to have boots on the ground, establish local, community, camaraderie with the local, and have an impact on a local economy, and participate in local community events, and whether it be food drives, whether it be diaper drives, whether it be, because we want to be that hometown contractor. And I also think it helps to retain and recruit people that want to come work for a company that's stable and not running around trying to chase storms, and you're away from your family at 3 months at a time and stuff like that. But if you actually open up and take some of your clients with you, or some of your clients are already there, whether it be new construction, like Ryan Homes is over here in the Bluffton area, Lennar's here, K-Off's here. We do work for all of them in 9 different, 4, 5 other states as it is. And that's why we're here. You know what I mean? We were able to recruit and retain people because they're not jumping all over the place. Wherever we go, we're planting roots there. We're going to become a household name wherever we're at. And we're going to participate in any type of community involvement or improvement that we possibly can. And I think that goes a long ways with, like you were talking about. It's just, being authentic. Like, we've only been here for 12 months, but we don't plan on going anywhere. We have been in business for 17 years, just knowing the company story, and being as honest as possible as you possibly can.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, cool, man. We're just about 51 or so minutes into this, man. Is there anything before we get off here that you want to leave our guest with whatever it's maybe it's a promotion that you guys are running, or maybe just a golden goose egg that you would like to leave with everybody?
I appreciate you having me on. This show, I've watched you grow over many conferences over the last couple of years, and it's just been awesome to watch you grow as a show, as an organization, as a speaker, and also as a leader. Somebody posted the other day, kind of behind the scenes, Thomas, I think, posted a video of you talking to your team, and the leadership in you is just absolutely incredible. And I don't say that just to like stroke your ego. Like, it's nice. Like, us good people have to stick together. There's a lot of people in this industry that maybe don't always have the best of intentions. Maybe they, try to get over on some people. Maybe they've got some character issues that they need to work on. But the vast majority of people in this industry are good, solid people. And if we're going to survive in an industry where you can make quick money fast, and you're going to have those kind of folks coming in, the good people have to stick together. They have to support each other. They have to help each other grow, have to be honest with each other, and everything we can do to help each other in that way, and everything I can do to help you or anyone else in our network that's a good, solid person. And even if they're not, maybe they still need some love. Mm-hmm. Let's make that happen, So yeah. I'm here for it.
No doubt. I love that. Thank you so much. And it's about the team. It's not even today. I kind of show up. You know what I mean? The team is everything. And I heard something the other day, and I think Jim Collins said it. I think it's your people. Your people aren't your asset, or people aren't your asset. What is your asset is good people are your asset. Not just people in general, but good people are what is your asset. And he's so true about that, because we've had a lot of people come through, right? But most of them have stayed. And those that have stayed or have gone, doesn't matter. They've all changed in one way, shape, or form, whether it was they've become better leaders. They've leveled up in many areas of their life, whether it be financially, personally, professionally, have leveled up. And those that have gone through, I also know, are not the same as they were when they came through our company, right? And I can only wish them well, and I hope that they can go on and make $1 million or $100 million and are able to impact just as many people's lives as we have because of what
sometimes
they
they have to
learned.
go get in the right place to grow to that next level.
Right.
And one thing I admire about you, just like Hunter Ballou, is the concept. I think John Maxwell talks about it is leaders build leaders and not just followers. And I see that that's something that is really important to you, and it's important to me, to Hunter Ballou, other gentlemen like that, Adam Bensman. Leaders build leaders, and I love that there's a leadership culture that's growing in the roofing and storm restoration industry.
For sure. And this is the other cool thing about it. Great leaders, right? And good leaders attract followers, and great leaders create other great leaders. But what's even cooler is that they also attract other great leaders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've been fortunate in that aspect that I've been able to attract really good, smart people, smarter than I can even imagine, so smarter than me and most areas of this business today. And that's probably been one of the biggest things that has helped us grow in many areas. It helps me grow personally and professionally, but more importantly, have been able to watch them grow. But the company itself has been able to grow because of those people that we've been able to attract. Because, like you said, David, they're into the same things that we're into. We're into impacting other people's lives, right? And when you can attract other people that are into having an impact on people's lives, whether it be homeowners, whether it be their coworkers, great things can happen when you can attract that many great people trying to make an impact on an industry as a whole, distribution, manufacturing, and local communities. Dude, magic happens. Like my pipe dreams can't even fathom where we are today. Like back in the day, I thought, we want to do these things, and it's like, dude, we're not even, I couldn't even imagine we would be where we're at today. I thought I did, but it's just where we're at today has become unimaginable. And the people that are in my life today, the homeowners, our coworkers, people that I met a real estate guy today, and met him for the first time. I talked to him on the phone the other day. I met him today, and it is going to blossom into such a wonderful relationship because of the things that he's into and the conversation that we had. And then, and when it comes to things like that, it's like, that's when you realize that your network has become your net worth, and because of this guy's relationships and the people that he's going to introduce us to, because of the longevity of continuously doing the next right thing, especially when nobody's watching. It has landed us here in Hilton Head, South Carolina, with some of the big real estate, monsters in the area that weren't like, oh, you haven't been here for 10 years, blah, blah, blah. It didn't matter. These guys know what we're about and what we're trying to do. And they're willing to help us out in any way, shape, or form possible because of our reputation has preceded us, thank God, and the people that they know that we know, and the connections that we've made, through that network. So, it's just, again, this goes back to where it's like my pipe dreams back in the day, can't even imagine the reality that we're living today.
Amen.
So
can I share one insight that just occurred to me recently?
Yeah.
They say that knowledge is power, and that it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it occurred to me recently, you can know all kinds of people, but if they don't know you, it doesn't matter. Who knows you, what you do, and actually can vouch for you makes a massive difference on your success, more so than knowing them. If they know you and they know who you are and that you're of good character and that you will come through, that is a massive differentiator. I am curious, before we sign out, you and I have held this conversation and we have not heard much from Victor there. Do you have any insights for us on this conversation or just in general?
I just want to say I appreciate you coming on, man. You starting last year with the conference tour we did, I got a chance to talk to you, and you're a decent person, man. You're authentic, and that's what we're about. And like Ty was saying, man, we all kind of gravitate to each other, and I just appreciate you, and I just appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, cool, man. Thank you for coming on the show with us, David. Vic, thank you for allowing us to manipulate you to get in front of the camera today and not behind the camera today. And thank you for all our viewers, our listeners. Don't forget to like, love, subscribe, review us. I believe you can review our YouTube page and our Apple and Google and Spotify. You can review them, but check us out on the replay. And if there's any topics that anybody ever wants to listen to, let us know in the comments. And if anybody wants to come on the show, also reach out to Vic, myself, or anybody that you know that we know. Reach out to them, and we'll get you on the show. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a wonderful Wednesday afternoon, and we'll see you next week for episode 219 with Steven Spence with Project Map It.
Too good.
See you guys later.
Yep.
See ya.
See you guys.